Welcome, everyone. Welcome to episode 26. And we're
Wow.
continuing on our series discussing feedback. So, in the last episode, we talked about and explored the different emotions that we experience when we're either anticipating giving it or receiving it. And then today, we're going to look more at the actual do. How do we do it? How do we set ourselves up to give feedback? And how do we prepare ourselves and stay open to the two-way learning that can happen when we receive feedback well and it's delivered well?
Yeah.
So, Sue, you want to start us off?
Oh, this is such an important one, isn't it? Like when
Yeah.
I'm out and about with my work, this is when I do mentoring workshops. This is a big thing that people, as we
Mm.
said in the last podcast, get a lot of emotion and trigger, you know,
Mm.
for, wow, I can't do it. I don't want to hurt someone. I don't want to offend someone, so I'm not going to do it. So
Mm.
yeah, we're kind of aware of that. But how can you get confident and competent at feedback where you actually don't have to worry? I mean,
Mm.
you're still going to worry about how someone's receiving the feedback, of course, because you're human and you care.
Yeah.
But you'll do it in such a way that you can actually give people the worst feedback in the world and they will be grateful. I know, I'm blowing your mind right now. I get it. But the thing is, it's possible. It is actually possible to sit with another human and say, hey, just want to have a conversation about some things that have been happening. I want us to learn from each other today. Can we do that? So it's about coming to the conversation ready to know that it's a feedback conversation. So my big
Yes.
to do, and I'm sure Celeste is the same, is setting up that conversation so that that person knows they're coming into the feedback conversation. So you might have sent an email. What do you do, Celeste? Do you send an email or just have a conversation that it's coming?
Oh, it's a conversation. But I pick the moment that's as close as possible to
Yes.
when whatever has happened. So
You
it's
want it?
fresh in the mind and it's most useful, you don't wait a week or whatever.
Yeah.
So if you can. So yeah, timely and
Exactly.
that it's a good time for them to just have a
Yeah.
chat. And on
Yeah.
their own, not when there's five other people with them and like you want to come with me and everyone's going, ooh, You're not
Exactly
saying
right.
it, they're thinking it. And then there's all the gossip happening. It goes,
Yeah. Oh, you've got to talk to the boss.
yeah,
Ooh. Yeah, exactly right. So that it's timely feedback. So it's soon after whatever the event is that you might be focusing on.
mm,
Or, it's a regular review period. Like I used to do when I had large teams. I used to give my teams, I did a monthly rounding with them where every month I would sit and we would have a feedback conversation. Because what's the point of doing it once a year?
yes, yeah,
Once a year I learn and grow. No,
yes,
what if I have some support mechanisms along the way and I actually feedback becomes so normal for me?
yes, that's it too. And it sounds like it's a mixture of positive and I wouldn't say negative, but opportunity for it to change and modify. Um,
Exactly. And I think
mm,
that's the important part there, Celeste, isn't it? It's keeping in mind that the feedback is about two-way learning.
yes,
It's not
yes,
about positive and negative. It's
yes.
about two-way learning. So how are we coming to this conversation today to learn and grow with each other?
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
So it might be that I noticed X, Y, Z, and can you tell me about your perspective on that or what was going on in your mind at that time? And then, yeah, and then it sort of grows from there. You can say why you
Exactly.
were concerned, but it helps to flesh it out because maybe my perception was off. Maybe there
Yeah.
was another piece there that I didn't see, and that explains everything.
Exactly. And like, I know when I used to have students, like I used to have a massive body of students in my life. And you'd get a complaint in from a student about an educator or someone. And so, and having that conversation with them going, look, we've received this, but look, I just want to understand your point of view. Do
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
like, do you remember this incident? Do you remember what was going on here?
Mm.
I'm sort of in the dark, so I'm going to be a bit led by you and led by this, complaint that I have sitting in front of me.
Yes.
Let's talk more about that,
Yeah, yeah. And
and
then they know that there's that the complaint is there, but you're more interested in knowing their perspective
Yeah.
first and getting all the information so that
Yeah.
you're not just passing judgment and giving them a rap on the knuckles or whatever
Because
you deem.
there is always a story sitting behind everything. Like when
Yeah.
two people are having a conversation, there's actually 4 stories that'll come out of that. And when there's 4 people having a conversation, there'll be 8 stories. Remember, there's a whole heap of different views and lenses we can apply to everything. So,
Yeah.
how can I have a feedback conversation and set that up successfully so that that person isn't threatened? And there is always that the goal is two-way learning,
Yeah.
And the fact is, I might have done something wrong. I might have set one of my team members up for failure. So sometimes I'm having a feedback conversation because I'm going to say to them, look, this is what I've done, and I've realized the impact is upon you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to apologize to you now, and I'm going to ask for your help to figure out how can we make this work,
Mm.
And so there's always, what can we do together? We're in this same boat together. We're working together here. We are together. So that, and so that's my tip, is to always go into the conversation with the goal being growing together.
Yes.
And
Relationship.
And that's really easy when you're a team. But what if I'm a preceptor and this is a student? Well, the context changes a little bit. So how then am I, as the leader mentor, who's, the experienced professional, going to grow this novice who wants to actually grow up and be like me?
Yeah.
So how can I respect that and understand that's that person's goal? And how can I give them a stretch and a challenge in my feedback so that I'm not offensive, I'm not scary, but I am pushing them a bit to do a bit more.
Yeah.
Two-way learning is always the common goal. That's my thinking, but Celeste, I will hand over to you. I've talked too much. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's great, Sue. I love that it's, the focus is on a conversation. It's not so much like there is some feedback. There's a message that you want to deliver, basically, but it's not. It's a positive conversation and discussion.
Exactly.
Not a chip.
My question to you, I mean, back in the day when I was a novice at this feedback business, and I did, as I declared in the previous podcast, I did a few terrible things. But so I actually used a template when I started on this path of feedback. Have you stuff like that in your sort of growth and development of how to do feedback?
No, I would say, as I mentioned to you before, the old proverbial SHIT sandwich. That where you give, that's what we were taught. That was the only template. You make sure you say something positive before you give them the real message. It's the boot, and then and then say something nice to finish off. And it's such a horrible way to do it.
I used to flip that when they used to talk about that in things, and I'd go, so we could do the compliment sandwich. Where we do a compliment, we say a great thing, then we highlight the thing that we want to be different, and then we finish off with something positive again.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I think feedback has more credibility if you are in regular communication. Like you were saying about having that monthly feedback opportunity. I think when you are noticing all the good things and you're showing that you value a person and you value what they bring to the team, then that builds their engagement, it builds their sense of purpose and meaning out of the job that they're doing. And they're also more open to future feedback. You're getting your credibility because you're noticing and showing that it means something to you. So then when it's something that's off, you can say, I just noticed this. Can you tell me, can we talk about it? And they're much more likely to be open to that.
Exactly. It's because we're trying to open up the channel of relationship to, and I think that's where, for me, coaching really grew me to even grow my confidence and competence to have better feedback conversations.
Yeah,
And so,
right.
and I just know recently I've just got a connection from a physiotherapy group who really want to learn, how to coach better when they're working with students so they can have better feedback conversations.
Wow.
And they've identified that coaching methodology would help them with that. So they're
Mm,
wanting to learn more about coaching so that
yeah,
they can grow that in themselves. And I
awesome.
just think, this wonderful group of physiotherapists are really going to notice some differences with their students in the future
Mm,
using this sort of
mm,
stuff.
that's great.
So,
Such a
no.
positive angle on it.
And I think that's the thing is, really sitting with people, no judgment. I'm not here to hammer you today and to kick you out of the business.
No.
I'm here to go, this is what I'm loving about your work, and how can I get you to do more of this work this way so that I can, we can learn and grow more together,
Mm,
you
mm,
know? Because this is what I like. This is what I really want to see more of. How can I
mm,
drive you to this place?
yeah,
You
yeah.
know? And and
Awesome.
and it's working together with people, I think.
Mm,
Yeah.
definitely. And like I've like the extent of my experience on doing feedback is not great, and I still get really nervous when I am in that position. And so this is really good for me learning this stuff. And in my research, I did come across a little talk from Simon Sinek,
Oh, yes.
who says, like it's so important that we have courageous conversations, and really giving feedback is a courageous conversation. It requires us to be curious, to overcome our fear, and go through the discomfort of talking about something that is important to us. Obviously, we feel the need to have the conversation, but we shy away from it because it's uncomfortable. But it's better to do it and bumble through it than to never do it, because the discomfort of never doing it means you just let things fester, you let things go, and in the end everyone suffers from that, and particularly in a team situation. So better to, for us who are, are growing that muscle, to actually put it up there, just say, look, I really, really want to have this conversation. I'm uncomfortable with it because I really care about this relationship and the team. And I'm anxious that I'm going to say the wrong thing or offend you in some way, but I really need to get this out. Can you bear with me
Yeah.
while we bumble through this together, and
Oh,
then we can talk about it. And so then, and is now a good time for you to have that conversation and just put it out there and then have it, because
oh,
that's more important, and you'll grow from stretching yourself through that, and
yeah.
you've brought them along. That person understands where you're coming from, and you've put your cards on the table, and I think that that's a better way to go, and
Oh,
you're only going to get
definitely.
better.
Yeah, and I've had that conversation, Celeste. I actually can
Mm,
remember a terrible conversation with a staff member many years ago where, she frightened the bejesus out of me. Like she was one of those, and I declare, that I come across a lot of teams who have the problem staff member who everyone's a bit scared of
yeah,
because
yeah,
they're really reactive and they're really
yeah,
scary and they fire up and start yelling real quick.
yeah.
Anyway, and so I was really scared of her. But you know what? At the end of the day, I was the boss. So I had to suck it up and I had to pull her in for a conversation. And she came in with her salty face and her salty attitude. And I knew how she'd turn up. She was pretty consistent with her salt. And she sat down and I said, look, can I ask a favor before we get started? I'm scared of you and I'm scared of having this conversation with you because I've made a judgment of the behavior I see you do around this place and how so many others are scared of you. And I'm really scared to have this conversation. Do you think we can have it together and be reasonably polite and civil without yelling? Because if we can't, I am going to get HR involved because I don't feel safe and you probably don't feel safe either. So what do you reckon?
Mm,
She was so shocked. She was so embarrassed. She was so mortified that we actually didn't have the conversation, but we just talked about why she appears to be scary.
Right.
So we
Mm,
didn't even get to the point of the issue. That
mm.
came much later.
Yeah.
But what she actually valued was that I owned that I was scared of her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weird, hey?
Yeah. Yeah. That you
Yeah,
must have drawn it all out all together about the impact that
yeah.
had, and
So it's
interesting.
really
Lots of
interesting, but I do.
vulnerability.
That's why I just really like that point because you triggered a memory in me where I actually did sit with
Mm.
someone and go, I'm actually really scared to have this conversation with you now,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I don't know what to do, but I just need to declare it,
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
And
good
look at the
points.
impact that it had. Like there's an example
Oh,
where, it was an opportunity for growth and for self-awareness and
yeah. And I mean, that was
mm,
why I said to you, I used to use a template because
mm,
I would get so scared sometimes that if I didn't have it written down in front of me to keep me on track, I'd get
yep,
lost in my own emotion.
yes, yep, yep,
Yeah. So that's why I
mm,
used to use just dot points. It was a bit of a template that was created. I think I'd got it online.
okay,
Yeah, there are lots of great online resources. And what I might do
mm,
is put together a slide for the end of this presentation of some really great resources I refer a lot of people to.
that's
Um,
great, Sue.
yeah, to go and
Check
just
that
have a
out.
look. They're free, they're online.
Mm,
Much cleverer people than us have already figured this
yeah, yep, yep,
out. So go and have a look and grow your
mm,
knowledge. Be
mm,
honest with yourself. If you're scared, go, yeah, I'm scared, but I'm going to grow my knowledge and I'm going to come out the other side and I'm going to keep two-way learning.
that's it. Keep your eyes on the intention, like what you want to create. Like, what can I go through this bit of discomfort to get more comfortable with it next time?
Exactly.
And build a relationship. Like you're actually building relationships with people when you do that.
Yeah, exactly right. Okay, so what's your top 3 points then, Celeste, to wrap this up today?
Because we're in the do, aren't we?
We are
So,
in the do. How do we do feedback?
well, first thing is self-awareness, isn't it? It's about
Perfect.
tuning in. What's my mood? What's my energy level? What's my intention for this conversation? And what's the best way to, um, yeah, take myself forward? Is now a good time?
Yes.
And And from the point of view of receiving it, is also to just pause and notice how, like, it's that self awareness is such a great gift if we are able to just pause and tune into ourselves and just think, okay, and notice what comes up rather than opening our mouth straight away to resist and to it's a
To the
natural
backstory.
tendency. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, natural tendency to want to, yeah, react or to explain or, with great sincerity. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, so them my key ones for the start anyway.
Yeah, and I'll probably just because I think that that's beautiful, knowing that you're prepared and ready for it, and that you're going in with a good intention, and that you can really breathe in the moment of getting the feedback
Mm,
and not allow those past stories to come in and hijack your brain and
mm,
take you to the bad place. To sit there in the moment and go, this is actually positive. I'm learning here.
yeah,
Good. This is
yeah,
helping me
yes.
actually. And and I think that's the thing is sit in the moment and know that it's helping. It's
Mm,
helping you. And if you don't feel that it's helping you, have the courage to put your hand up and go, I'm feeling really threatened now. Can we come back and do this another time when I've had time to think about it again?
mm.
Because this is the thing about the how to of feedback. It's two-way.
Good
So
way.
when someone's given you feedback, then you get to respond.
That's it.
So if you're threatened, own it.
Mm,
And just say, can we come back and talk about this when I've had a day to think about it? 100% you'll be allowed
yeah, yeah,
because that person will genuinely be confident because you put your hand up and you're honest.
yes, yeah.
So be honest in the feedback and don't go in with your biases and agendas and take it for what it is, two-way learning.
Mm, mm. And
Yeah,
maybe asking questions and getting clarity around things, and then
exactly.
take it away, both giver and receiver, to take it away and do it a bit of an evaluation.
And then
What
come back
you
and
think
have another
about it.
conversation, a couple
Mm.
weeks later, even. You know,
Follow
I
up.
Yeah, like I know with my monthly rounding that I used to do with all my staff, like it gave, we always had something to stretch to. And so when we came back to the next monthly review, it was great because we could go, oh, so that's right, we talked about this last time. Where did we get to with that?
Yeah,
And it was
awesome.
great because it just gave us
Mm,
a
mm,
continuity of a relationship.
yeah, yep,
Yeah, it
yep.
was awesome.
And there's that element of accountability both ways, that,
Yeah,
like, and feeling supported, that, well, Sue's going to be checking in with me on this. So,
yeah. Have I done it?
yeah, yeah,
Have I
yeah.
thought on it? Or have I found
Mm,
another way? You
So
know?
it's it's a bit like coaching in that way, that kind of
Yeah,
approach,
it was
isn't it?
awesome way of growing people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, so I think
Oh, okay, it's pretty good.
probably the most of the how-to, but I think I will put together a slide and pop it up at this point so that you can see some different resources that are out there in the internet that you can go and download great PDF tools on how to grow your own feedback.
That sounds excellent. Thanks, Sue.
You're welcome. Anything else you want to
Mm.
say before we say goodbye and see you another day, Celeste?
No, it's just over and out. Have an awesome August afternoon.
Yeah, and if you want to follow us, like us, send us a message, you know where we are. I will have the beautiful little link code up above my head now, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye all.